Hello everyone, a warm welcome to ixamBee. Now we are going to understand the cutoff of NABARD Grade A exam, last year 2017 cutoff, and we are going to study syllabus in detail, that how you can cover the syllabus of ARD, Agriculture and Rural Development, and ESI section, Economic and Social Issues. So we are going to discuss this heading wise heading and also the important books and strategy to crack the ARD and ESI section, particularly starting with last year's cutoff. First for phase 1 exam, and the cutoff for general section, the overall cutoff was 109.25. The important thing for you to notice here, so most of the people, those who have graduated say in economics or graduate or postgraduate in economics, agriculture, animal husbandry, fisheries, so specialized qualification, they people opt for specialized position, maybe in agriculture, economic, environment, social work, etc., because the cutoff in the respective subject, respective discipline is lesser than in case of the general. The learning point for those who are not coming from specialized education qualification is that they are actually not competing with somebody who has done BSc agriculture or who has done BSc economics honors, because these people, those who are qualified in economics and agriculture and maybe in fisheries, forestry, CA or CS, so they are most probably almost 99% they are going to apply for the specialized position. So you are going to compete with those who have graduated maybe in science or arts or maybe engineering, but not in these specialized subject. So here the cutoff is higher, but your competition with not somebody who has studied agriculture, economics or these specialized subject where they have an edge over ARD or ESI section. Likewise, you can also observe the cutoff here for other categories, maybe it is OBC, SC, ST, and the discipline wise also. You can pause the video and you can see what was the cutoff last year. Now coming to the cutoff in the prelims exam, cutoff based on the subject: reasoning, English language, computer knowledge, general awareness, economic and social issues, agriculture, rural development, and quantitative aptitude. So here also you can very much observe that in case of general post, here the general is general post. So when we say reservation wise, so this is unreserved. So here also you can see the cutoff is actually really low. So you have to say highest is in case of English language is out of 40, right? So you know English is 40 marks. So you have to get only 6.5 marks. Likewise, sectional wise, and most of the people are worried in ESI and ARD. So ESI the cutoff was 2 marks and ARD it was 1 mark. In quant it is 3 and general awareness it is 1. Computer knowledge it is 4.5 and reasoning it is 4. So if you see the overall cutoff, this is actually really very low. Why I am saying very low? I don't think that anybody can reach to these much of numbers. Like out of 200, it is 109 if I talk about the unreserved category, and likewise for reserved categories also it is close to say 90%. In OBC it is 98%. So you are not going to score 100% or 90% marks without actually getting this 3 marks, 4 mark cutoff in the various sections. So your objective of the strategy, of the exam strategy, shall be scoring highest marks everywhere, and in every section you have to get some minimum marks which are actually very low. So 4 marks, 5 marks, I think you will get it if you are preparing sincerely. So this is sectional cutoff is not a bigger challenge. The bigger challenge is coming to the overall cutoff in your respective category. Now this is about phase 1, but you are not going to clear the exam only by clearing phase 1. Ultimate aim is to get the job. So for that phase 2 is very important. So in phase 2 you have this descriptive paper out of 100, and then you have ESI and ARD for general post, and likewise for different subject we have economics, agri engineering, etc. So if you see in the descriptive paper, for unreserved category the cutoff was 66%, 66 marks or 66% because it was out of 100, and in general post it is 46.75 marks for ESI and RD paper, which is again of 100 marks. So 66 marks in descriptive paper of English writing, and in the objective paper it is you can say 47 marks in case of general, and then subject wise like economics it is 47.75 and agri it is lesser, agriculture engineering it is further lesser. So here we cannot compare that what was the cutoff in fisheries versus what was the cutoff in economics, because it also depends on the difficulty level of the paper. So you can see in your respective category, and the competition is also going to be respective category, but most of you are going to be here. So you shall target that I shall get say 55-60% in the objective paper and 70-80% in the descriptive paper, so that you get finally selected. So this is overall cutoff for the selection. You can see here in case of general it is 132 marks unreserved category. So general post for unreserved it is 132, for OBC it is 125, for ST it is 115.75 and for SC it is 118.5. So now you understand what was the cutoff last year, but for this year it may not be same, it may be high, it may be low depending on the difficulty level of the paper primarily, because competition is going to increase year by year. Please remember, competition is going to increase, the cutoff may be lower only when the difficulty level is high. So prepare with that rigorousness that you are going to score very high in both ESI and ARD in the mains exam, because English is descriptive. So there also you have to score high. You have to work on your writing ability, understanding précis, doing reading comprehension, writing essays, writing correct grammar, use of punctuation, avoiding spelling mistakes. So that is very important, because this descriptive paper is 50% of your mains exam. But scoring high in ESI and ARD is very much possible if you utilize your remaining time studying as per the syllabus. One more thing I would like to add here, if you have not tried that free demo classes of NABARD till now, you can subscribe to the free demo classes by clicking at the link which is available in the description below. The demo classes are absolutely free. This is the overall cutoff. For agriculture it was 148, and for general post it was 162.75, you can say 161.75, you can say almost 162. This includes marks obtained also in the interview. So likewise, respective positions you have the cutoff, and you can see the highest cutoff was here actually in economics. No, it was in company secretary followed by economics. Again, as I said, this depends on the difficulty level of the paper also, that in company secretary people got good marks, but most of you are competing here in general. So you can see for unreserved category it is 162, you can say, for OBC 155, for SC 150, 149.5, and for ST it is 142.5, and likewise for other categories. The most important thing now is to how to study for ESI and Agri, because ESI and Agri are 40 marks each in your phase 1 exam, and it is 50% of your mark in the phase 2 exam. So these two are going to make a lot of difference. Actually, these are going to decide how you get selected in the NABARD exam. Now discussing point wise point on the syllabus, and you can attempt all mock tests for NABARD exam and for any other exam, any other competitive exam at ixamBee.com, and these are absolutely free. On economics and social issues, the first topic is nature of Indian economy. So here you need to understand what is the type of economy we have. What are the sectors like primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. In primary sector there is agriculture, mining, other activities. In secondary sector there is manufacturing. In tertiary sector it is service sector, their contribution to the Indian economy, how the employment pattern is changing in these sectors. So the broader overlook of the macroeconomy in India. And institutional features, so which are the important economic institutions. Economic underdevelopment, because NABARD is a development financial institution, so you need to understand what are the issues related to underdevelopment. Then opening up of the Indian economy. So in 1990s, when Dr. Manmohan Singh was the finance minister, and India faced before that actually India faced a problem of balance of payment. So Indian economy was opened up after this, and India joined WTO in 1995. So that was the time India joined WTO. So that is the phase of globalization of the Indian economy. There have lot of things written on world becoming flat, India becoming a fast growing economy, joining the emerging economies of the world, and economic reforms in India. Also privatization of the various companies, disinvestment, government companies become privatized, private sector growing up because of the almost end of the license Raj. So you shall understand all that in theory with some examples, some numbers. Second important topic here is inflation. So you need to understand what are the causes of inflation, demand pull inflation, cost push inflation, hyperinflation, and their impact on the national economy. How inflation is measured, what is WPI, wholesale price index, what is consumer price index, which one is used by RBI for measuring inflation. Then poverty alleviation and employment generation in India. So you shall know that though the contribution of agriculture in GDP has come down, but still more than 50% of the Indian population is still dependent on agriculture for employment. You need to understand some data related to the employment generation, use of the various sectors, whether agri, SME or service sectors. What are the ways the poverty has been measured? There are various committees, Chandulkar committee and Rangarajan committee. So every committee has some indicators based on the income, based on the calorie consumption, and then there is a different yardstick for poor in rural areas and also poor in the urban area. You need to know these names, numbers, and the percentage of population below above the poverty line in both urban rural area, and different poverty alleviation programs by the government. Then population trend. So India is known to have a advantage of demographic dividend. You need to understand what as India have in terms of the population. India has huge young population and how it is going to help in economic development. What is the population policy of India and where we stand in terms of the achieving policy objective. Then though agriculture is a separate topic, so but agriculture's contribution in economy you need to understand here in terms of the overall institutional changes and technical changes in the agriculture, its performance and issue of food security in India. This topic rural credit, though it is only written limited, you have 3-4 lines written on this, but you have to give huge weightage to this rural credit because NABARD is a credit institution. NABARD is a development finance institution. NABARD provides credit for rural and agriculture development. So here you need to understand non-institutional and institutional agencies. What are non-institutional? These are money lenders, these are friends and family. So because these are also important, especially it was important in past, they have been providing credit to people, those who are especially those who do not have a credit score or those who do not have a security to offer, and then slowly moving to the institutional agencies, not only bank but also you need to understand NBFCs, SHGs, then microfinance institution, and now a small finance bank. So all these playing important role in rural credit. And before this it was RRBs and cooperative bank. Cooperative bank, primarily rural cooperative bank. These are supervised also by NABARD. So you need to understand that in detail. You can expect number of questions from this section. Reforms in banking and financial sector will also be covered under this, because with the economic reforms of 1990s, there were reforms in banking sector as per the Narasimhan committee report. So please give important weightage to rural credit section. Then know about industry. So you need to briefly understand about the labor policy, industrial performance, the regional imbalances. Here you focus primarily on the data part. The data which is from the macroeconomics perspective, which is important. Globalization of the Indian economy. I told about that India joining WTO. When WTO got established, before WTO was there, India was also a member in GATT, General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. And you need to know about Bretton Woods institutions like IMF and World Bank, what is their role. You need to differentiate between IMF's role and World Bank role. Like World Bank is there for alleviation of the poverty and IMF is about financial stability. So we have covered that in detail in some other videos. Then regional economic cooperation, you shall also know about other institutions like ADB and others. Social structure in India, so that is a very vast topic, but here focus your studies on important names, committees, data because lot of theory you will read in various books, you can skip that. Multiculturalism, demographic trend, urbanization and migration, gender issues, joint family system, social infrastructure, education, health, environment. So all these socio-economic problems, I think you know most of the thing. You must have studied at some level in your college and school also. So education relevance of and educational wastage, educational policy for India, social justice. So these are like common issues we always read here, read about these here and there. So your objective in all this shall be, because you are going to appear in an exam which is MCQ based. So don't read too much of story, but go on the facts, go on the data. And relevant data, relevant means which is the recent data. So nobody is going to ask you in 1965 what was the literacy rate of women in rural India. So this type of data nobody is going to ask you. So you read lot many books, but you will read this kind of old data. That is not required. Go for summary of the economic survey, summary of the budget, which is again freely available at www.ixamBee.com. You can download the PDF also. That will help you in remembering the latest data and understanding the important terms. About human development, you shall know what is Human Development Index, what is HDI, how it is different from other parameters of development, and what is India's rank, maybe on this, on other indexes like happiness indexes, etc. So that will also come from the study on general awareness. The current economic and social issues. So this is one liner, but I would say again, give maximum weightage to this. I have already told you the sources may be the general awareness questions, the general awareness weekly summary, monthly summary, which is available freely at our website, and also maybe some other module which you can find some other places. The data, these topics which we have been discussing in the syllabus, pick these from the current data, and also remember about the important government schemes, various committees and allocations under different programs. Now coming to agriculture and rural development. For many of you, agriculture and rural development seems to be more technical, especially the agriculture part. So I would suggest you don't go into learning the technical details. So don't try to remember like names or botanical names of so many crops, their sowing rate, their plant to plant discussion, time of irrigation, then their pest, their chemical control. So all this will not be possible in the given time. Rather focus on what you can learn in the given time. So it has actually endless scope. If you start like studying so many crops, whether it is horticulture crop, vegetable crop, agronomy crop, then genetics, plant breeding, human nutrition, so it is endless. Confine your studies to the topic which are important for this exam. So you know about definition, meaning, the branches, agronomy, its scope, classification of field crop, various types of crop, you shall know mixed farming, different types of cultivations, factors affecting crop production. Then you shall have a brief idea about the agroclimatic zones in India, different type of cropping patterns followed, and these are not very technical. If you read this topic from any book, or if you watch the videos what we have provided, so you will follow it easily. That really doesn't require you to be an expert in agriculture sciences. Then these problems of dry agriculture and dryland agriculture, seed production, different types of seed, you shall know what is nuclear seed, breeder seed, seed processing. So because seed can be covered in like 5-10 pages, everything important about the seed production for this exam. Then about weather, meteorology, precision farming. So you shall be also aware about these terms. Different type of irrigation system, it may be drip irrigation, sprinkler irrigation, in which type of crop it will be more useful, system of crop intensification, organic farming. And please remember, whenever you are studying, so keep MCQs in mind, because you are going to face MCQs in phase 1 and phase 2, both the exams. Then there are topic soils and water conservation, major soil type. You shall know what are the major soil type and what are the important crops grown on that, but only important one. Otherwise, it will be endless. Soil fertility, fertilizer. So you can confine to limited studies here. and then soil erosion conservation, watershed management, etc. Likewise, on water resources, you shall know about irrigation management, types of irrigation, sources of irrigation. These are easy to understand. Crop water requirement, but as I said earlier, for 100 or 200 crops, you cannot really remember every crop's requirement, but you shall know about the major crop. Then water conservation technique, micro irrigation, irrigation pump, etc. So again, remain confined to the major things here. Likewise, in farm and agriculture engineering, last year also there were questions asked from farm and agriculture engineering. So please remember, because they will ask question to cover maximum topics in the syllabus. Some questions may be very difficult. Okay, no problem. You can skip. So if you score like 70-80% or 60-70% also in the prelims, you are good. So that shall be your objective. So if you see one question which is very technical, very difficult, please skip that during our study also. Do not really get worried about that. Somebody asking you the sowing rate of, say, spice crop like cardamom. So of course you are going to skip that. Don't worry about it. Your aim shall be to understand the major topics. Likewise, on plantation and horticulture, so you shall know which are the plantation crop, what type of soil these are grown, different types of plantation crop, its branches, and agronomic practices followed to grow these crop. Because if you have major idea about, say, if you know like how tea plant is grown, how coffee plant is grown, so you will be able to segregate many of the options in the exam, because as I said, the exam is MCQ based. So your idea shall be eliminating the options. Some of the options you will find it is useless. So if you narrow down even to like 2 options, then you can take a chance picking one. And likewise on animal husbandry, so animal husbandry, there are like so many breeds, whether it is of cattle or maybe of bird, poultry bird, or other animal, so maybe fishes also. So up to what level you will go, you keep your studies limited to the general topics here, and knowing the important breed, maybe important characteristics of some of the farm animals. For an example, now you shall be aware that India is number 1 in milk production. But how much milk production India has? You shall know that number, because India is number 1 in milk production. Likewise, you shall know about breeds. Say the question may be Mehsana is a breed of, Kadaknath is a breed of, or Holstein Friesian is a breed of. So if you have read the major breeds, you will be able to do questions on this also. And likewise, the common terms pertaining to different species of livestock, introduction to common feeds and fodders, their classification, utility, etc. As I said about poultry also, similar to what I said for animal husbandry, because poultry normally it is taken as a separate course in agriculture colleges. You shall be aware about common terms related to poultry production. There are several methods to manage the poultry production. The concept of mixed farming and its relevance, and actually poultry production has helped farmers to grow their income. So what is complementary and what is obligatory nature of livestock and poultry production in agriculture. And similar is with fisheries. You shall know the major data, where we stand in fish production, how much fresh water or brackish water and marine aquaculture cultivation we have, about the latest technology in this field, technology for production and post harvest, and importance of fishery in India, common terms pertaining to fish production. Forestry, so you shall know what is the total area under forest, what is India's forest policy, principles of say different type of again cultures here, like sericulture. Sericulture is production of silkworm, production of silk actually by rearing silkworms. Then forest mensuration, forest management. Then there is a concept of agroforestry or social farm forestry. So in this some forest plant are grown with the crops that increases the yield on the revenue for the farmer. And recent development in Ministry of Forest, Environment, and latest data about climate change, you shall be aware of that. You shall be knowing about agriculture extension, various schemes, the role of Kisan Vigyan, Krishi Vigyan Kendra, various models like farm to fork for dissemination of best agriculture practices to the farmers. And then there are topics like ecology and climate change. So these are the recent things for environment conservation and for sustainable agriculture. You shall know about climate change, greenhouse gases, major greenhouse gases, their names, the share of the countries emitting these gases, distinguish between adaptation and mitigation, climate change impact to agriculture and rural livelihood, carbon credit. The concept of carbon credit you shall understand. What is IPCC, UNFCCC and COP meetings, funding mechanism for climate change project and the initiative taken by Government of India, NAPCC, SAPCC or INDC. And this is about present scenario of Indian agriculture and allied activities. So you shall know all important data related to agriculture and also agriculture economics, the factors of production in agriculture, agriculture finance, as I said about the rural finance, the rural credit, you shall know about agriculture finance, the important product like Kisan credit card, and also about agriculture marketing. In recent time there is a talk about ENAM, you will find that in our budget document, budget summary, and impact of globalization on Indian agriculture, issue of food security, concept and types of farm management. You shall have an understanding of all these. This rural development, this is closely associated with the social issues. In ESI you have this social issues section. So social issues and rural development, because more than 60% of our society is rurally impacted. So you will have to know these important committees, data, schemes, etc. so that you understand economic, social and demographic characteristics of the rural economy in India. Most of the things here will be like story for you, like causes of rural backwardness, what are the problems of rural sector, so that you shall be able to segregate in the options. So I won't recommend you to give more time to reading the problems and journal topics here. Then rural population in India, what are their occupational structure, so where they are employed, how much are doing farming, how much the people are employed in other sectors, maybe handicraft, maybe cottage industry, this artisans, laborers, then traders, forest dwellers. So you shall have the major numbers also in mind and the important trend, issues and challenges also you will understand when you read this data. Then Panchayati Raj Institutions, so how it came into force by amendment of the constitution, which amendment, their structuring, then the important scheme like MNREGA, NRLM, National Rural Livelihood Mission, then Ajivika, Rural Drinking Water Program, Swachh Bharat Program, Rural Housing, Pura and other rural development program. Which are the important sources from where you can get it easily? So I have listed down a few which will be helpful to you, and you can again be very selective from reading from these books. One is like Agriculture at a Glance by R.K. Sharma, Fundamentals of Agriculture by Arun Katiyan, volume 1 and 2, and these books are mainly available online also. A competitive book of agriculture, Nemraj Sanda, Agriculture Today, a magazine that you can go through last 2-3 editions, Social Problems in India, but here be selective in your reading. And if you know about the major social issues, you can skip this book. About Indian economy, very bulky book, Ramesh Singh Misrapuri or Datta Sundaram, whatever you take. So you have to not only reading the chapter, but within chapter also you have to be very, very selective, and the data in all these books will not be much relevant. This will help you in understanding some concept like inflation, GDP, GNP, balance of payment, etc. And that if you want to save your time, you can subscribe to our videos. You can learn from there also. And NCERT books are actually very, very good to understand the basic concept of economic and social issues and rural development. But again, if you have time, you go through that. Otherwise, you can, if you understand the terms mentioned in the budget and economic survey, you can skip both of these. Rural development, IGNOU are also useful. Again, availability of time. If you have, you can go through. Kurukshetra and Yojana, these magazines are relevant because all important recent topics are covered here. Go for last 2-3 subscriptions and you will also find important latest data in these magazines. And we have also provided video on this YouTube channel, so you can go through these videos that will help you in how to read these magazines. Then summary of budget and economic survey. So as I said, it is freely available at www.ixamBee.com. You can download it from there, and if you want to save time in all this study, please click on the demo course which is provided at the description below. You still have lot of time. By doing a focused study, you can score really high marks in ARD and ESI section, and if you are good in these sections,